Hi, MassArt. I'm excited to see all of you virtually, I guess. We're going to be meeting tomorrow at 12:05 um, through Google Meet. So be sure to click on that link in the Moodle and meet up with me tomorrow, especially if you have any questions. It's technically not required, but I would love to see you. So that's one thing. We've got a bunch to talk about today. I'm going to start by kind of addressing what is due this week and kind of talking to, due on April 9th, right? This week you should just have your flats, and they can just be on plain white background pages, and maybe you could just have the outlines done, have as much done as you can. But then on April 9th, which is still 2 weeks away, you're going to have these elements. So due on April 9th, you're going to finish the client collection. You actually don't have to print the collection because you'll just be posting it on a discussion board and you'll be submitting it here. So you'll have 10 outfits, front and back views, 3 colorways for each outfit, the client's fictional biography page, and an inspiration board. So let's talk about the 3 colorways for each outfit, and let's look at the example project. So this is Holly McGrath's example project, and she has offered 3 different color options for each garment. If you would like, these 3 different color options could also be shown as miniature versions of the garments themselves, totally recolored. Or you could do like close-up cutouts of the garments, recolored. I can show you some examples of those. These are some flats that I had to make for grad school, and I did close-up circle cutouts of the garments. This was a two-faced neoprene I was trying to illustrate, and I found that it was easier to... I also showed a swatch, but I showed a close-up of the garment. So that's definitely an option. This is the type of catalog that we are kind of trying to emulate with the swatch-based color options, more like Holly McGrath's project. On this page, they've really elegantly displayed all the color options for this basic t-shirt. In this, the color options are really small, and we are actually going to do a catalog project where you're going to write a description and have color options, and really try to learn how to lay things out in like it is in a catalog. Here's another one where they've shown like a close-up of the detail on this shirt, which I think has like a ribbed section there or something. Sorry, this is so low quality. And they've shown they show the 3 different options there. So this is something that's done professionally, so keep that in mind. So I found this denim texture on the internet, and I bet a question a lot of you have is how can I show different colorways if I'm using a texture? So we're going to address that here, and we're going to add a texture to the jeans, and we are going to adjust it using the graphic styles panel. We're going to adjust the color. And we can do that of a couple swatches. So first off, I found this texture. We're going to see how it looks when I go to edit, or I'm sorry, object, pattern, make. And I don't think it's a perfectly seamless texture, but I think we can get away with it for now. And especially since it's so large, it will probably we probably won't see a seam on these jeans. Of course, we can scale the texture down to make it look more realistic. So I am going to ungroup these because right now they are grouped, and we are going to apply our new texture, our new pattern to it. Okay, so let's zoom in here. Let's scale the weave down here. So I'm going to select them both and go to transform, scale, and I'm going to uncheck transform object, so that means it's only going to transform the interior pattern, and then lower this down. And if preview is checked, we will see it lower. So there we go, and I don't see that much of a seam. It's just looking like more texture. So we'll leave it right there. If you're worried, if you had a more complicated pattern, and you were worried about the pattern lining up on the clothes in parts where it wouldn't line up, like the pattern wouldn't perfectly match up if the front and the back of the pants were overlapped like this in real life. So you could right-click, transform, and choose move, and this will move the pattern a little bit. So then the repeat of it won't line up anymore. That's going to be more apparent in textured patterns, or like patterns with big repeats and stuff, I guess I mean, not this small texture. Okay, so let's make a couple swatches also filled with this texture, and these will be our examples. And maybe if we use the eyedropper tool, the eyedropper tool also copies how small this is scaled and everything. So that's good because then it matches the texture more closely. And let's arrange these. So we are going to use the appearance panel to add a color on top of this. So if you don't have the appearance panel out, it looks like a little sun, you can go to Window, Appearance. And there she is. So with this one selected, notice there's a stroke section and a fill section, and we can turn those details on and off through the appearance panel, and we can also adjust the thickness of the stroke through the appearance panel. The fill can also be adjusted here, and we can choose from any of the swatches. And if you are ever trying to make something transparent, but like when you go up here to opacity, it also makes sometimes it seems to also make the opacity of the stroke, it will automatically make that opaque as well. But in here, adjusting the opacity, this definitely won't adjust the stroke. it's just adjusting the opacity of the fill. I didn't have this selected. Okay, so you can adjust the opacity of the stroke and the fill separately through the appearance panel. And I think that's what I use it for most, is for those odd moments where I want to adjust the opacity of the fill, but I don't want to adjust the opacity of both of them. See if they're, but we can also add another fill layer. So down in the bottom, you can add a new stroke layer, you can add a new fill layer. So I'm going to choose Add New Fill, and we are going to change the color. And I saved 3 swatches in a swatch library, right? So I can choose from these swatches. I might have to drag them in here. And back to my appearance panel. So I can, if this blue jean is this blue, then maybe I should try adding this green. And God, I have to have it selected. Green. All right, so you can see that at first it covers the whole denim texture. And it should be under the stroke. The stroke should be the top layer there. So we are going to adjust the opacity. And we could just lower the opacity in general. Gotta have this selected. We could just lower the opacity in general overall. Or you can choose from these opacity settings that are the same type of opacity settings as Photoshop has. So we can choose color, and it should take on the same hue. Or you can kind of, yeah, hue is good, overlay will sometimes work, but keeping the color is hue. So let's do the same for this. Let's change the color using the appearance panel. We are going to make a new fill. That's down here at the bottom. And this time let's choose this mustard color. And we are going to expand the fill section, click on opacity, and choose hue. All right. So you could change the colors of this jean as well. Claims it has mixed appearances. So let's talk about how we could save this color and use the graphic styles panel to apply that to this. So if we grab the graphic styles panel and we choose new graphic style, it saves the graphic style, and what graphic styles save are all fills and all strokes that are in the appearance panel. So if we wanted these to be green, and maybe this was acting funny because of all of the different fills and strokes, so the eyedropper tool doesn't really work that well if you've added multiple fills and stuff, but graphic styles works just fine. So we can add all 3 colors here, new graphic style, and we could apply the new color there. I don't know why that one didn't change color, but here we go. I had to ungroup it. It's probably got some other shape involved in it. I'm not sure. But there we are. Obviously we would want to show both of them blue if that was our main colorway. And then what we could do is we could, have other Other options shown as miniature versions here. I don't know, it's all up to you, right? How you want to choose to visually convey this information, but you have to have 3 colorways shown. So I added some colors for the t-shirt, and I just kept it really simple. And now I am going to kind of add a border. So I'm going to make a new layer, and we are going to use something called the rectangular grid tool in order to divide up our page into a grid, so that we can kind of align some of our segments and make sure that everything looks pretty. So I am going to choose this tool. It's under the line segment tool if you click and hold on it. And click on the upper left hand corner, just click once on the upper left hand corner, and we are going to type in 8.5 by 11, or actually this is 11 by 17. And we can put in any number of dividers, but I am going to put in 10 for now, just so we have a lot to work with. And here we are. So I'm going to kind of try to treat this first interior rectangle, the first line in from the outside, as our margins. And it's weird that there's not a better way to do this in Illustrator, but this is the case. We can turn this is like made up of kind of lines. I think we can even, yeah, we can adjust the lines with the white selection tool, but we can convert this into guides if we want to be sure it won't show up. You can make any shape into guides by going to View, Guides, Make Guides with the shape selected. So now, even though I put it on its own layer, and we can like lock that layer, they aren't going to show up if we accidentally leave that layer on. So I'm going to adjust these so that things line up with kind of my outside edge. And it is good practice, I think, to leave a larger margin at the top and bottom, or at least that's what we think of as a nice balanced page in graphic design. So you should be avoiding having like too many starting points and ending points, like how this is starting kind of midway between the bottom shirt and the top shirt. We're going to bump it up so it starts at the same point as the top shirt. And let's make a quick border. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, go ahead and put it on its own layer, and I can draw it meeting right up with this border for right now, but if I hold Alt while I scale it, it will scale Alt and Shift, it will scale evenly from the center middle point. So I can kind of pop it a little ways out, and then we can find a fun brush stroke to put on it. Let's not do something too crazy. Sure, so let's try changing the color of this to match our colorway. First off, what happens if we just have a color in our brush? Nothing. So let's adjust the setting of this brush so that it accepts changes in color. So I'm going to double click on it here, and it's a pattern brush, which we should be familiar with, and I'm going to change the colorization method to hue shift, and it's already got the key color red in there. And it's asking me if I want to apply it to these strokes, and I do, and it has already updated the color. So then in my swatches, I can choose from my, I should only have 3 in there. I wanted to delete it. I can choose from my colorway. So even this, I think, is looking pretty good. I would like to find a way to fill this area. If these were more detailed flats, I would probably do like a highlight area there where I've shown a blown up version of them or something like that. But I think this is looking pretty good. The last thing I wanted to talk about today is under resources on today's class, or this week's class, class 9. Flat symbols from WGSN, and these are Illustrator files that are available to you guys. So you can click and download those. So I downloaded and unzipped this file, and you can see that these are all Illustrator files. So if we open one up, you can see what they look like. And I wouldn't say that these are the most editable things, but they can be good for kind of like set dressing. And I wanted to show you how to add these to your various libraries. So I'm not sure if you guys have access to this, but you might have access to the Creative Cloud desktop through the like free Adobe library or free Adobe products that you're getting. So in the Creative Cloud desktop, you can add work directly to your library, which will be accessible by all Adobe products in all Adobe products directly through the Creative Cloud desktop app, right? So this is an app that I have installed. And its kind of main function is for you to install and update all of your Adobe products, but you can also go into the Your Work tab instead of the Apps tab, and we can view all of the libraries that I have. So this is my adult female croquis library where I keep my kind of quick access garments for my croquis. So let's make a new library and call it WGSN Flat Library, and we are going to hit create, and then we're going to move over to my folder, and I'm going to select all of these and click and drag them in. So those will take a while to upload, but they will be accessible in Illustrator for me to add to any of my images, including all of these. And if you did manage to get access to WGSN, you could download and add more flats, which are just Illustrator flats, to your libraries, and potentially adapt those. I don't think they're the easiest to edit, but they're great options. If you don't have the access to the Creative Cloud library, we can add all of these to a symbol library, and I wanted to talk about a symbol library anyway. So I am going to open up a few of these. So I drew these shapes really quick, and they're pretty small. So they're going to show up in proportion when I pull them out of the library. So we're going to go to the symbols panel, and I'm going to select my button and choose new symbol. That's what I've done wrong. So on export type, we want to choose graphic because we aren't making a movie clip. We want to choose graphic. So I'm going to hit OK. And same thing here, new symbol, graphic, OK, new symbol, graphic, OK. And we can delete all these other ones. And then for the WGSN symbols, you could copy and paste those into the same space and choose new symbol and just make sure to choose graphic. And you could go ahead and open up all of the WGSN files and copy and paste those in. Just make sure you choose graphic. So I'm going to delete all of these ones that were there at the beginning, and we are going to save this as a symbol library. So again, we go to the library panel and we choose Save Symbols, and this is just like when we save the brushes libraries or the swatches libraries. And this is an option that sometimes kind of feels unnecessary when you do have access to the Creative Cloud library. So you can call this symbols. And then back here in the example project, let's go to user defined and symbols, and here they are. I've saved them, added them correctly to this. And like in this hole here where I feel like we should have had a graphic, I can add the backpack, right? And I've ungrouped this a million times, and it seems like it might be editable, but right now it's a symbol. So in order to edit a symbol, it's kind of easiest if we don't care about editing the original symbol. If we don't want to edit the original symbol, we should choose break link, and then we can kind of choose these individual elements. So I just keep double clicking to enter like all these different subgroups until I can click on the part that I want, and then I could probably apply color. Make sure it fills in the right spots. Let's see how that works. Cool. So I didn't do as much ungrouping on this symbol, so I'm going to break the link again, and then we are going to ungroup until we can choose the individual parts. Yeah, so that took a while. It takes a lot of ungrouping from these WGSN flats, but we could add some color to those. So that already kind of filled in that page really nicely, and that's a nice easy option. So let's add some buttons to the front of this, and I'll show you another benefit of symbols, which is they can update their shapes automatically. So if we add a symbol here, it's behind, let's add a new layer. So I'm going to choose, I'm going to place all of, I'm going to place all of them. And I've shown you more efficient ways to do this, but I'm going to do it by clicking and dragging the amount that I want. Lock all the other layers. And selecting them all, and then I'm going to go to Align and Distribute, and distribute vertically. So there they all are. And if we want to have a different shaped button, or if we decide we only want a one-hole button, this looks weird without a line like that. We can change all of the buttons at once. So I can click it and choose Edit Symbol and hit OK. And let's remove one of these and straighten this out. And we'll make them oblong like this, and we will hit back. They have all updated automatically. So there are certain instances where this is really handy. So keep that in mind. Or if you don't want to update all the instances, you got to break the link to the symbols. So if I want all of these to be a little bit different, I'm going to now choose break link. And then I can add weird oblongness in all different areas. So let me know if you have any questions on any of this. We are in a new era here, and we can just all hope we can get through it together. So please reach out. I'm excited to see you in the live stream. And let me know what you think. Bye!